Over the weekend, the Gators will take on South Carolina, tipping off at 9 o'clock. Be sure to listen on 1010 a.m. or the 1010 XL app. It's currently 54 degrees at 6 o'clock time and temp, brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Let's go into the night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Yeah. I said lies, lies, lies. Yeah. Don't ever come at me as far as musical diversity. We're beginning this damn show with the Thompson twins. And I know Aaron Williams will have that for you coming up in about 15 minutes when we come out of our first break. But, the whole world and lying, man, it's really scary. How did we come up with the word lie? Think about it for a moment. Let's pull up Webster. Do you kids even know what the Webster dictionary is? You can hop on the AI. You can hop on the Google. Back when I was a kid and I had to walk uphill to school in the snow and then walk home uphill as well in the snow, we used to carry around a Webster's dictionary. All right, let's look it up. All right, lie, definition. To have a place in relation to something else. I don't know if that's what we want. To occupy a certain relative place or position. No, that's clearly not what we're looking for. Here we go. A lie is an assertion that is believed to be false, typically used with the intention of deceiving or misleading someone. It's tough to parent, right? It is. Young girls, young boys, but you teach them right out of the gate, right? Lying, cheating, stealing. That's all you seem to do, right? Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, John Paul Jones, John Bonham. They wrote about it. They played about it. A classic by Led Zeppelin. But it's true. Those are some of the ethics that you were told, like saying yes, no, thank you, please, wash your hands before you eat, look both ways before you cross the road. You're not supposed to lie. The older we get, we see it. Screw the personal lying. I could care less about what you do or what you don't do that gives you an advantage, personally speaking, if it comes to lying. Professionally, though, it just makes me irate. And the older we get, it doesn't matter what the category is. It doesn't matter the importance of what it is. It's lies, it's lies, it's lies. Church and state, the government, local, national, and in sports all the time. People lie. Now, some of it you can look at and say, all right, tomfoolery was involved, or, I'm going to not tell you this and not tell you that. And, I get gamemanship. One of the greatest examples of all time, I remember when this organization drafted Jalen Ramsey. And at that point, they actually did his press conference in the locker room. It was kind of weird. Then again, back then, the Jaguars' entire organization was weird. And I remember Dan Hicken and myself cornered Dave Caldwell, the general manager, before the second round of the draft. And we were going through all sorts of different scenarios. And that was when I was on in the afternoon. And I was totally, absolutely 100% convinced that there was no way ever that the Jaguars were going to pick Myles Jack after his injury. Okay, that's strategy. Again, that's gamemanship. That's basically putting something out there, but I don't think it equals, quote unquote, a lie. And there are some situations where you just flat out, whether it's the scheme, whether it's the game plan, whether it's an injury, whether it, in so many other circumstances where you don't have to tell anyone anything. You can ignore the question. You can spin it in one way. You can spin it in the other. But we keep seeing very significant things in our life where grown-ass men are lying, bald-faced lying. And obviously that applies to what came down yesterday involved with the Hall of Fame. We didn't talk about it on Tuesday because it was such an important day around here with the Grant Udinski, Anthony Campanile announcements by the Jaguars that, in fact, those two would return. And, more good news on this Wednesday. It had been reported for the last week and some change, but it is official. Matthew Arujo comes in now as a defensive pass game coordinator. All right, a guy who worked with Anthony Campanile in Miami, so that's a positive. Then offensively, Brian Picucci is now going to be the assistant offensive line coach. Of course, he worked with Liam Cohen at Kentucky. Also had that phenomenal year with Liam Cohen back in 2024 where Tampa Bay put up all sorts of impressive top 5 statistics in several different categories. So I think that's one thing that's missing right now with this football team offensively is more consistency when it comes to running the football. We'll get to that coming up here in just a little bit. But what we're seeing now is Belichick is scorned. Belichick doesn't get voted in. And here's the way I look at it. If you don't think he deserves to be voted in, fine. That's your opinion. But say it. Come right out and say the man cheated. The man oversaw Spygate. The man oversaw Deflategate. Personally, you may feel like you were treated like a lesser human being. I've said this many, many, many times. The worst interview I ever did, I did it with Mike DeCourcy, okay, who I have a lot of respect for. He's one of the great college basketball writers of all time. We used to do March Madness shows, us two and the coach killer, Peter Brown. The worst interview I ever did was Bob Huggins. Okay, I mean, I don't care if Bob Huggins walked in here right now, threw $10,000 on the table, and had a case of, I don't know, let's go to Canada. Let's go with Labatt's Blue. I still wouldn't like Bob Huggins. He was a creep. He was a total a-hole, and it affects the way that I feel about him. However, if I was extended a college basketball, or I guess they do it in Springfield, Massachusetts, it's just the quote-unquote Basketball Hall of Fame. Obviously, I'm going to vote him in. There's no way around it, okay? He is deserving as a Hall of Fame coach. The personal way I feel about him has no effect, even though I'm not a fan. That is what we have seen here with Bill Belichick. We have people trying to settle old scores. There's a lot of fingers that can be pointed. Certainly, Bill Polian is the leader of all of this. Bill Polian is a bitter old man, okay? Bill Polian has forced so many changes throughout the NFL, and including right now, according to an anonymous source, was the ringleader in saying that Belichick should sit out 1 year because he cheated. And again, if you believe that, subscribe to that, and think it outweighs the 8 Super Bowls and the 333 wins, that's your opinion. But say it. Don't hide behind it. Say it. All right? Bill Polian, for those of you who forget, piped in a legal crowd noise. Jaguars included. Okay? He was absolutely to blame for that at the RCA Dome. He put fake crowd noise into their stadium. Right after the 2003 right after the 2003 AFC Championship game, I remember this like it was yesterday, okay? It was Bill Polian who was crying and whining. He forced the rule change of pass interference in the NFL. It's referred to today as the Ty Law rule. What you had was Ty Law, Rodney Harrison, and people physically pounding finesse wide receivers and Reggie Wayne and, Marvin Harrison, and they beat him up. All right, so what did Bill do? He was very well respected at that point in his career, particularly after what he did in Buffalo. By the way, he was in Buffalo with a Hall of Fame quarterback, Jim Kelly. He was in Indianapolis with a Hall of Fame quarterback in Peyton Manning. Guy won 1 Super Bowl. Okay? He's bitter at Bill Belichick. Belichick beat him at his own game. And, again, you can fill in the rest of this. But now you're not allowed to, you can't impede a receiver more than 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. So what are we getting now? We're getting 3.5-hour football games. We're getting penalties that are called all the time. We're getting more inconsistency out of the officiating, and you can thank Bill Belichick for that. The other side would be, all right, it's provided some more offensive openness, some more scoring in the NFL. But obviously that does come with more penalties. There's also plenty of claims out there that Bill Polian forced the team to lose, so he could be in the situation to select number 1 and draft Andrew Luck. Okay, regardless of what it is, this man last night actually defended him, categorically speaking, that he was not responsible for bringing up the fact that you should not vote in Belichick in 1 year. But get this. He did an interview last night on ESPN. Actually, I believe it was with a writer that wasn't televised. It was just a one-on-one conversation on the phone. He says he doesn't remember who he voted for.
Come on.
Think about that for a moment. He does. They spent 8 hours in a smoke-filled room. And Bill Polian does not remember who he voted for. What does that mean? It means he voted against him. And he's just a coward. He won't come out and admit it. All right, speaking of admitting, I'm going to throw this out to you right now. And there's no reason that I should do it. I'm going to guess that 99% of the people in my position would flat out not do it. They would avoid it. They would hate to be remembered for it, but I'm from a different breed. I never want to avoid missteps. I never want to talk myself out of being wrong. I'm a longtime Heisman Trophy voter. I voted for Ashton Jeanty to win the Heisman Trophy, not Travis Hunter. Now, when I announced this, there was very little pushback, okay? It was 4 months prior to when the Jaguars traded up to get him. I've mentioned it a few times after, and I'll get the obligatory, oh, you just hate the Jaguars, this and that, and I'll settle down and explain, hey, man, I made this vote 4 months before I knew Jacksonville was going to pick him. And even if I knew they were going to pick him, and I want to get warm and fuzzy with you, I mean, there's so many things I want to do throughout the days, weeks, and years with you, the listener, but getting warm and fuzzy is really at the top of my list, okay? If I wanted to do that, I wouldn't come back and admit this, but my reasoning was simple. Ashton Jeanty took Boise State to the college football playoff. I'm totally 100% convinced that if Travis Hunter played for Boise State, they would not have gone to the college football playoff. Was I right? No. Maybe with that opinion. Was I right with the voting? No. It's the only time I've missed as a Heisman Trophy voter. And again, that's my reason. Whether you agree with that reason or you disagree with that reason, that was the one that I made. And I'm not walking away from it. I'm not playing the role of, oh, my gosh, I hope no one remembers that I voted for Jeanty. I mean, these Jaguar people are going to, they're going to hate me. They're not going to respect me. They're not going to listen to me. No, I'll come right out and admit it because I'm not a freaking coward, okay? We all make mistakes. When you say or you do something, you're responsible for that. Admit it. Don't walk from it. Don't hide from it. Look what you've done with the Hall of Fame announcement next week. It's become more important about a guy who's not going in than those who will go in. That's what you created. And you did this because you're selfish and you're scorned and you tried to settle old scores. So someone who should have been in like 25 years ago, part of that steel curtain defense, L.C. Greenwood, is a meaningless footnote. And whoever gets in as well with a veteran is a meaningless footnote. Maybe it's Ken Anderson, who put up huge in Jacksonville as a quarterbacks coach. Whoever the 5 are that are chosen next week, again, it's a secondary story. It's a sidebar situation. Because now, because of the Bill Polians in the world, it becomes who did not get in as opposed to who did. And that's what you created. That's what Bill Polian created. And he doesn't even have enough guts to come out and take the verbal punches. That's amazing. A lot of blame going to Bob Kraft. He made an announcement today. You want to believe Bob Kraft? I'm sure he lied in the massage parlor. I'm sure he lied after the massage parlor. Does he have a proven record for not telling the truth? Hell yeah. Ron Borges, another scorned Boston writer. Here's a guy who got absolutely tooled by quote-unquote Nick in Boston, who played the role of Don Yee. Remember the former agent for Tom Brady and how Brady was going to hold out in 2018. This is a kid off the street, a caller to sports talk radio shows. He didn't go through the old rule of 2 sources. Instead, he went with it. It was flat out wrong. It was a fib. He also got blamed and was suspended for 2 months for plagiarism. I used to love Ron Borges, a boxing guy. Used to have him on all the time in Las Vegas when I go out there to cover fights when I was working out of Chicago. I grew up reading Ron Borges. Ron Borges in Boston wasn't even the guy who presented Bill Belichick. That's what he thinks about him. He can't stand him. So let's put down Ron Borges. So there's 2 that we know. Bill Polian, Ron Borges. Who are the others? Who are they? I keep hearing Dan Fouts. I keep hearing Tony Dungy. Trying to think who else has been mentioned right now. Again, we've had 21 people come out and say, I voted for him. I voted for him. We haven't heard from one person who has said, I did not vote for him. As we get ready to head to our first break, honestly, wouldn't you have a heck of a lot more respect for whoever one of those voters is who would say, I didn't vote for him. And here's the reason why I didn't vote for him. I would disagree with his reasoning, just like you may have disagreed with my reasoning with Genty and Hunter. Still, I gave you my opinion. I gave you what I thought. There's the difference. Ton of cowards out there, and many of them are right in front of your face. It's really a shame. All right, tonight's show is brought to you by the good folks at Shmunez Vision. Once again, Baloo's going to truth tell. It's what I do. They're the best around. They're the best in Jacksonville. It's pitch dark right now, just after 6 o'clock. If you need an examination, go to a place where you have 3 doctors who have been performing this, including surgery, for more than 37 years. Dr. Neil Shmunez, Dr. Catherine Shmunez, Dr. John Hunt, okay? Cataract is a word that scares the living snot out of you, right? You may not need surgery. There may be a simple remedy that is provided for you, and if surgery is needed, well, you're dealing with the best. And on top of that, they will do your examination, they will answer all your questions, and they will also be the doctors who perform surgery. No middlemen, no middlewomen, just straight to those 3. Shmunez Vision. Check them out online. Shmunez Vision. You can check them out as well on Instagram.
This is Barry Sanders.
And they're still on his feet, and Sanders is gone.
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
1010XL.
Like many football fans in Jacksonville, I love defense. I am attorney Lee Lockett, and I'm here to tell you that defense in the courtroom is important as well. That's because penalties for DUI are much more serious than penalties on the gridiron. If you or someone you know is facing a DUI, call us for a free case analysis now. Know before you blow 858-9818. Put my more than 20 years of experience to work for you. Office is Jacksonville, serving all surrounding counties. Call 858-9818 or go to knowbeforeyoublow.com.
From Friday Night Lights to signing the dotted line.
For some students, National Signing Day is the ticket to the future.
National Signing Day on 1010XL is covered by
Flame Broiler and Baker Glass. Next Wednesday.
Hey, it's Travis from Cannons of Jacks. Thank you for trusting us for 55 years of custom welding fabrication and vehicle towing accessories. When you need a trailer hitch for the family car, a gooseneck for the company truck, or even RV towing options, call us at Cannons. We can do a bumper hitch, fifth wheel hitch, anything for safe, reliable towing. Come to Cannons of Jacks, where service is our #1 priority and we treat our customers as we like to be treated. Check us out online, cannonsofjacks.com.
Joe C. for Preferred Roofing, reminding you your roof is more than just felt and shingles. It's a system that not only keeps your home dry, but also impacts your heating and cooling bills. Preferred Roofing and Construction is a GAF Master Elite roofing contractor lauded for having the ability to educate and inform homeowners on their options. Why GAF and Preferred Roofing? They're veteran-owned and operated with ties to Duval for decades. A family business ready to make sure your family has a good roof over its head. Log on, preferredroofingjacks.com.
Low mortgage rates are back. Listen, Loan Pronto has fixed rate mortgages with APRs as low as 4.89%. It's the lowest in years. Hey, gang, Prosser here. Smart homeowners are taking advantage of this while they can. If you got stuck in a 6% loan, you can lower your payment big time, or you can keep your primary mortgage intact, get cash out. Equity with Loan Pronto's rapid equity loans. One homeowner just got $250,000 out of their home. They paid off all their credit cards, some car loans, and cut their monthly expense by $2,000. Call now. See what option works best for you, but don't miss this big rate drop of 2026. Ask about new home loans, VA loans, full cash out refis, or their famous rapid equity loan. You can close in less than 2 weeks. You may be able to skip your next 2 house payments altogether. Call 904-999-1508 or visit loanpronto.com. No hard credit pull. 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. APR for well-qualified buyers.
Visit NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. Went smooth as silk. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Our son Eric's a Division I collegiate baseball pitcher who is having shoulder pain. We took him to Southeast Orthopedic Specialists and are confident that he's now on the road to recovery. This is Beth Anderson, and we love the care Eric receives at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood Jewelers. Clayton, why is it that when you look at how long a store has been in business, that it always seems to be the stores like Underwood's that sell fine quality that have been around the longest?
Frank, that's a question that really doesn't get asked a lot, but it should be. There are a number of reasons, but probably the biggest is because of the endorsements our longtime customers and their pieces of jewelry have given us through the years. You see, when you sell really fine quality jewelry, that piece will last longer and always stay beautiful. It might stay in the same family for generations, and through those years of wear, a lot of compliments will be made and a lot of people will be told where the piece of jewelry came from. You see, at a store like Underwood's, it's our stated goal to be the best jeweler in the South, not the biggest, so everything we do and carry has to help move us toward that goal. And ultimately, it's the satisfied customers wearing fine quality jewelry that have kept Underwood's in Jacksonville since 1928.
Underwood's in San Marco, Avondale, and the shops of Ponte Vedra.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still, present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Into the night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Love me, so I don't understand why promises are snapped into words are made to bend.
I can't tell a lie. I like the Thompson Twins. And they knew it, circa, what is this, 82, 83? Lies. The Thompson twins. Oh, it didn't get any better. Kids, look it up. You'll love it. Your mom and dad will dance to it.
I can say I've never heard this before.
Grown-ass men lying. And it happens. Tonight's show brought to you by the Alexandra Law Practice. I'm going to tell you about them in just a couple of minutes. As bad as the NFL is with the Hall of Fame, and it took Baselli forever, it's going to take Fred Taylor forever, it's going to take Tom Coughlin forever, it's going to take Jimmy Smith forever. I think a lot of that can be blamed on small market when they were here. That no longer applies, but it does back to when they were a part of the Jaguars. It pales in comparison to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That is nothing short of complete jackassery, okay? It is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and they have made it the musical Hall of Fame. I have no problem with country and hip-hop and old-school folk and pop and whatever it may be, but put them in their individual Hall of Fames. I'm going to guess right now that Jimi Hendrix is not in the country Hall of Fame. I'm going to guess right now that Led Zeppelin is not in the hip-hop Hall of Fame. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame really screwed the pooch, and it boils my blood on a year-to-year basis, and I talk about it a little bit because when I get away from sports, my biggest love is rock, okay? And rock never disappoints, unlike sports, which disappoints all the time. Music doesn't, unless you play sad songs, right? Music is a pick you up. Come on, lies, Thompson twins, that just picked you up, right? Number 2 is the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame. That is an absolute joke, okay? The high and the mighty. Look at some of these crusty writers and some of the things that they've been charged with over the years. Look at the chronic drug use, whether it's sliding headfirst with cocaine in your back pocket, like Rock Reigns, whether it's snorting cocaine off the bench or in the locker room, like Dave Parker, the late Dave Parker, and so many others, transporting drugs from one country to another. See Ferguson Jenkins, killing a man, visit Ty Cobb. Okay, I mean, it's just been, doesn't matter. Just don't bet on the game or don't take steroids. What do you mean don't take steroids, Blue? Jeff Bagwell took steroids. He's in. Pudge Rodriguez took steroids. He's in. David Ortiz was on that one list of that crazy organic milkshake. Never admitted to steroids. It was never proven that he took steroids, but there was speculation. Let's make it all about Bonds, McGuire Sosa, Manny and A-Rod, Palmeiro, Sheffield, Clemens, Pettit. Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame is a complete, absolute joke. The Hockey Hall of Fame is a joke. Keith Tkachuk is still not in the Hall of Fame. The guy had 538 goals, okay? He had over 2,000 career penalties. He played back in an era where he would give you the Gordie Howe hat trick. He'd light the lamp, he'd assist on a goal, and he'd drop his gloves and fight like real men, not like cowards who hide behind the voting process. He's not in the Hall of Fame, okay? Cujo is not in the Hall of Fame. Sergei Gonchar is not in the Hall of Fame. Patrick Marleau, who has played the most games in the history of the NFL, the history of the NHL, is not in the Hall of Fame. Who's played the most games in the NFL? Is it Bruce Matthews? Is it George Blanda? Is it Jackie Slater? Is it... It doesn't matter, right? They're all in the Hall of Fame. Football recognizes longevity. Football absolutely commends being able to play game after game, year after year. Major League Baseball, same deal. The guys who have played the most games in the history of the game are in the Hall of Fame. Patrick Marleau. All right, but that's hockey. I mean, I can't waste your time with hockey. I know people like, get off it, Blue, for crying out loud. Tell us about the Senior Bowl and what happened today. But the humans in their voting process is always going to be a flawed system, especially when you do not look or consider the overall voting process. All right, if you want to comment on that, you can. Absolutely, a lot of ways for you to get on in tonight. 641-1010 on the text line, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. Also, YouTube tonight. Just go to YouTube, 1010XL in tonight. Were you able to figure out who's played the most games in the history of the NFL?
You did say played, right? Not coached?
Played.
It says Morton Anderson.
Okay. How about and I have total respect for kickers.
382.
Cam Little he's a rock star. I can see Cam Little on the dance floor tonight jigging out to lies, 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 lies. Okay, he's a nuclear weapon. How about a non-kicker? Is it Bruce Matthews? Is it Jackie Slater?
I'll find that out.
Yeah, find that out and let us know. Because, that in itself is quite an accomplishment. George Blanda, obviously played a couple of roles. He, much later in his career, became strictly a place kicker for the then Oakland Raiders. Okay. Something that is important. Actually, we're up against this break. Why don't I save that for the other side? And we're going to begin to mix in some of your thoughts on any of this. I'm going to bring up the Jaguars when we come out of this next break. Also, John Osher is going to join me in 30 minutes. Much more on the Jaguars there. Hey, let me tell you about the good folks over at the Alexander Law Practice. Okay? It's been said many times before, and it's brilliant. Health is worth more than wealth, right? Wouldn't you much rather be healthy, live a long life, than have a pocket full of cash? But you're far, far less than 100%. Well, sometimes you can't make that decision. You're injured, and it's not your fault. Case in point, a personal injury caused by a car accident. If you find yourself in this category, you need to get a hold of the good folks at the Alexander Law Practice, okay? For starters, there is absolutely never a situation where you come out of pocket. You don't have to make any payment whatsoever. There's no retainer fee. So if that is prohibited you or concerned you, and for one reason or another you haven't called, don't let that bother you. Again, no retainer fee at Alexander Law Practice. Number two, Rick Alexander, for more than 30 years, he has made it his profession by getting involved in each and every one of his cases. He will deal directly with you, his client. You will deal directly with him. It's a one-on-one relationship that you can only find in a small practice, a personable practice. And that's what Rick Alexander and the Alexander Law Practice does provide for you. So whether you're physically injured, whether your car is totaled or beaten up, regardless of what it may be, just go to Alexander Law Practice. You're going to get an immediate call back. Okay. You can also phone them at 400-6600 and set everything in the right direction for you. The good folks at Alexander Law Practice.
It is George Blanda, by the way.
It is. Okay.
340 games.
All right, plays some as quarterback, and certainly, quite a few as a kicker as well. I think for a position player, I want to say it's Jackie Slater. I want to say it's the former Rams offensive lineman. Bruce Matthews possibly could have broken that, but we will see. We'll look it up and give you that coming up here momentarily. All right, let's also get you in. Again, 2 ways to join us on YouTube. Go to 1010XL into the night. Also, on our text line, it's 641-1010, and that's brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures.
Live streaming from the XL Digital Studios. Brightened by Harbor Dental Care, Jacksonville's first choice for dental emergencies.
Feel the power of Van Halen. Live. Jump. America's Van Halen experience. Iconic riffs. And David Lee Roth era energy. Sunday, February 1st at Thrasher Horn Center. Get tickets now at thcenter.org.
I'm here with Danny Van Sickle, director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, your only cost for the books and the course fees, about $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 14th.
Flame Broiler, the Rice Bowl King, is turning up the flavor with new char wings. These wings are charbroiled, never fried, grilled to perfection for a big taste without the grease. Grab them as a 3-piece or 10-piece side, or make it a meal with a 6 or 8-piece combo, served with rice and a drink. Order pickup or delivery today from any of Flame Broiler's 5 Jacksonville locations, or call 904-619-2786. Flame Broiler. Bold flavor done right.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal, is that a turtleneck? Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air, a definite nip. I mean, it is January. In Jacksonville, Jason. I didn't come here for cold. Well, I wouldn't call this. Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter. So, switch over to heat. What if my system can't remember how to heat? Dude, put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell. And make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat. I had no idea these sunglasses worked in the winter.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Make Capital Glass and Shower Doors your premier choice for top-quality glass solutions. With over 40 years of expertise, their team specializes in commercial and residential projects. From elegant shower doors to modern frameless enclosures, they've got you covered. But that's not all. They also offer glass railing systems, glass wine cabinets, and much more. For unmatched quality and service, choose Capital Glass and Shower Doors. Your vision, their expertise. Visit online at capcoglass.com.
What's up, Duval? I'm Chad Valamek, owner of Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran-owned pool company for over 10 years. We specialize in new pool construction and pool renovations, built on military values, integrity, communication, attention to detail, and honor. Now is the perfect time to start your pool project, so when the heat hits, your pool is ready. As an Iraq War veteran and Purple Heart recipient, pride in what I do is everything. Let me show you the difference in how my team and I execute your pool project with military precision. Call Purple Heart Pools, Jacksonville's veteran pool company.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, just looking over the last week's Major League Baseball voting process for the Hall of Fame. Matt Kemp got 2 votes. Hunter Pence got 2 votes. Rick Porcello got 2 votes. So, again, I mean, personal relationships and being, ignored or disrespected by players or coaches play into this. And honestly, you should really not have a vote if that is the case. Matt Kemp was a great player, played here in Jacksonville for the Old Suns. Went on, had a very good Major League Baseball career. But a Hall of Famer? Hell no. All right, the 2 active leaders for games played in the NFL. 2 former Jaguars. 2 really good guys. Mercedes Lewis tops at 290. Calais Campbell, number 2, at 278. The top 5 all-time games played are kickers and punters. You know who's actually played the most plays in the history of the NFL? Tom Brady. 335. After him is Jerry Rice, 02. The guys I mentioned, Bruce Matthews, 15th at 296. And Jackie Slater, should remember this with Slater. He played before it was 16-game schedule. Beginning in 1976, he ended up playing 259 snaps. So there you go. And Slater's in the Hall of Fame. Obviously, Bruce Matthews is in the Hall of Fame. Jerry Rice, the greatest wide receiver to ever play, arguably the greatest player, arguably, to ever play. I think you got to put Tom Brady and Lawrence Taylor on that list. And Brady not yet eligible for the Hall. So there you go. That is the very latest. Okay, the Jags, some really good news this week with the staff. And I think a lot of questions can now be created based on what they did. These are hand-picked guys. Liam Cohen couldn't bring coaches with him from Tampa Bay, okay? He really liked that organization. Remember, he was considering, when Trent Baalke was still here, becoming the highest-paid offensive coordinator in the game and staying on. And the folks in Tampa did not want to lose him, and that includes the media and the fans. It takes him a year, but he does make the move to bring over now Brian Bicucci, who will become the assistant offensive line coach. And a lot of emphasis, I have to believe, on fixing their overall rushing attack, which got off to a phenomenal start. Do you remember at one point Jacksonville, I want to say 3 or 4 weeks in, was number one in rushing. They were also number one in yards per carry. That flatlined. And they got very interesting decisions to make, as you're aware of, particularly whether or not to bring back Travis Etienne. And then you got the young guys waiting, which is going to be a lot of fun to watch. They all had outstanding camps a year ago at the Miller Electric Center. I do expect that rushing offense, whether or not Etienne is here, to improve this season. Defensively, same deal here with Campanile. Okay, he went back to Miami. He got Matthew Arujo. He becomes the defensive passing game coordinator. If you look at the ages of the staff, okay, 30s, 40s, really like Ron Miles. Have a ton of respect for him. 25 plus years in the NFL as a coach. He was the older one of the bunch. Did he not relate to these defensive backs? I don't know. I will tell you that try to keep most of this close to the vest, but since no one is around anymore who is on that team that I can think of defensively, maybe Devon Hamilton, there was a complete lack of respect by those type A DBs to Perry Fuel, who was just great. Okay, and that included Jalen. That included them all right? And that's common, and we're getting more and more of that as we move forward. We're getting less respect player to coach than the way it once was. That's just the life that we're in, college and pro. No question about that. I do believe there's a better opportunity here with Arujo to get on the same page, because when I look at this firing of Milas, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me because players improved. You know, he brought in 2 free agents, and he was responsible for Jordan Lewis. He was responsible for Eric Murray, who both played well when healthy. Okay. He benched flat out Jarian Jones, and when asked to come back and play, except for the finale against Buffalo, played very well. We saw marked improvement with Buster Brown. They moved Tyson Campbell. We saw marked improvement with Antonio Johnson. Dewey's Dewey. And I think that, they gambled on the Greg Newsome deal. That didn't work out. But the only conclusion that I can come up with is, statistically speaking, it wasn't a great season for the Jaguars' pass defense outside of takeaways, where I want to say they were number 2 in total interceptions. We know that they were number 2 as far as takeaways, only behind Chicago. I think a lot of that lies on what happened last, and that was defensive breakdowns against the Buffalo Bills, including certainly hitting the 35-year-old Brandon Cooks very late in the fourth quarter. And someone's got to go. Is that what it is? Someone's got to go. I mean, if they win that game and they advance and they're playing, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But there's a lot of continuity on this staff. And outside of the rushing game offense, I guess he was labeled as being the rushing game coordinator. I guess that's not going to happen now with Bakuchi. He's the assistant offensive line coach. The entire staff is intact. Think about that. Think about the headache for Trevor Lawrence. Think about Urban Meyer and Darrell Bevell and Doug Peterson and changing things up with Jim Bob Cooter, who was here. And you look at all these offensive coaches, and it was one after another, after another, after another. Now you're settled into year 2, where it's Liam Cohen, it's his offense, but the staff returns. Again, outside of the assistant offensive line coach, the entire nucleus is back. You cannot imagine. Actually, you can, because you're a very smart football audience. Just think of how different that is and how important that is and what you can add schematically speaking, offensively, for a team that already improved by what, 11 points in 1 year? I think they were 18.8 a year ago. I want to say they took it up to 29 point something, before the playoff game. If you go to the regular season, let me see if I can find that real quick here before the break. But, I mean, it was, they went from, let's see here, 18.8 to 27.9 in one season. They improved by 9 points. Do you know how hard it is to improve by 9 points? 9 points. If Jacksonville had scored 9 more points a year ago, they would have had a winning record. We all know they were, 2-10 in 2024 when it came to one-possession football games? They scored 9 more points. They're going to be able to add to that. They're going to be able to put in new wrinkles. They're going to be able to have better relationships. Your skill position guys all return except for possibly Travis Etienne, right? Wide receivers are back. They may decide to move a guy, but I'd be surprised. I mean, you're not going to get value for Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know why you'd move him. Also, it's worth mentioning that they improved significantly as well on defense, where they allowed more than 27 points a game a year ago. They improved that to under 20, 19.8 when it was all said and done. Okay, let's get ready for your thoughts on everything that we have thrown out to you. Also, John Osher and plenty of Jaguar stuff coming up as well. That'll be at 7 o'clock right here on your home of the Jags, 92.5 FM.
Catch Gators basketball on 1010XL.
Florida's fight for the conference crown continues in Columbia. It's a late start for the Gators and Gamecocks. Tonight at 9 on 1010 AM.
Hey Jacksonville, this is Dr. George Bari, your local orthopedic surgeon. In the wintertime here in Jacksonville, it does get pretty cold, and sometimes you wake up with aches and pains in your shoulders and knees. Don't forget to stretch and stay mobilized so these joints don't stiffen up. And if that doesn't work, you can see us at Bari Orthopedics, where we can give you the treatment that you need.
Be sure and check out the expertise from Dr. George Bari and the entire staff at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
This date in sports history is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 28, 2001, the Baltimore Ravens defeat the New York Giants by a final score of 34-7 in the Super Bowl. Ray Lewis would be named the game's most valuable player.
Buying a diamond, wedding band, or piece of fashion jewelry in Jacksonville? You have two choices. You can go to locally owned Beard's Diamonds, or you can go to one of those mega national chain jewelry stores. The national chains are pretty much all the same. In fact, did you know that some of them are owned by the same conglomerate? Yes, the same Wall Street company owns all the big names. So if you're looking for extreme value with genuine personal attention, come experience the Beard's Diamond difference. At Beard's, our diamonds come straight from the source. We hand select each one for maximum brilliance. We don't have to apply corporate markups and tack on salespeople commissions, so we beat the chains on price every single day. Beards has the strongest warranties, not gotcha clauses in fine print. Beards has all the top designers, including Tacori and Verragio. Beards doesn't have out-of-state regional managers calling about sales quotas. We are all local, family-owned, with total freedom to do what's right for our customers. Beards Diamonds, all the selection, quality, value, and service you want from local people, accountable only to you. Beards in the St. John's Town Center.
Do you want to grow your career with a company that's committed to growing with you? Florida Home AC has aggressive plans to double their workforce, and they're looking for determined, resourceful people with initiative. Just log on to floridahomeac.com/careers to find out more.
Game days aren't the only win happening in the 904. Best of Bold City named 904 Gutters with a Z the #1 seamless gutter company in Duval. Like the team's O-line protects their QB. Call the winning team at 904 Gutters with a Z to protect your home from the rain.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the adorable chess man on the tracks.
There are two things you should ask yourself about your garage floor. How clean is it now, and how clean would you like it to be? A typical bare concrete floor doesn't just collect dirt, it makes dirt.
It is literally made of dirt.
As much as you sweep and mop, the dust... A Checkmate multi-layer floor resists drips and stains. It comes in your choice of dozens of colors and sweeps up sparkling clean in just seconds.
No need to wear shoes in the garage and track dirt back in the house.
Gorgeous?
Check. Durable?
Check. Tidy enough to walk on wearing clean white socks? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com. That's checkmatecoatings.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focused, fueled, fearless, Farah. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
John Osher, 8 minutes away. Plenty to do in our second hour. It's going to include your feedback. I haven't had an opportunity to get to it today. We've just been too busy. Todd Monken, former Jaguars coach here in town, back during the, was it Del Rio? Yes, it was, I believe. Todd Monken is now taking over in Cleveland, which I think is a dead-end job. And, we'll see. I always liked Todd Monken. Really nice guy, and I just think it's impossible to win in Cleveland. I don't know. Maybe the light goes on for Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Cleveland, who has arguably the best player right now in the NFL. If you were listing, 1 through 100, where's Myles Garrett on your list? I think he plays arguably the second most important position on the football field, behind only quarterback. Right? And the quarterback, rush end, corner, left tackle, aren't those your top four, far and away?
Yeah, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably left tackle is probably higher than defensive end, I would think.
You know what? Again, it's very subjective. We can sit down, and I bet if we have 5 offensive coaches here, they'd agree with you. If you had 5 different defensive coaches here, they're going to go the other way. But I don't think anyone would argue that those are clearly the top 4 positions. That's one of the major reasons why I've always thought that ETN doesn't return. It's not about ETN. It's about his position. And I try to be crystal clear on this, and it still doesn't register at times. It's not about him. It is. And, Barkley's numbers fell off, but just outside of maybe Barkley and Derrick Henry, I mean, you just look at those enormous look at Le'Veon Bell and Dalvin Cook and Todd Gurley and Chris Johnson, all those contracts that were signed by backs, they just seemed to disaway. Said no to the New York Jets as an offensive coach, not a head coach, obviously. Aaron Glenn is there. Aaron Glenn was the guy who was mentioned prominently here a year ago. But John Gruden, who's been, up against it, he's dealing with a lot of negativity, deservedly so. I mean, he never should have made those comments, and the email leaked, and it's cost him. He can't get himself a job. And I love how Gruden's like he's been trying to stay out of the limelight. It's like I grab Twitter every day, and he's holding a new team's full catalog, man, head to toe. He's got the jersey, the sweats. He's got helmets. He's got hats. He's working for Barstool. I don't know how you define that as being away from the limelight. But, yeah, things are so bad in New York where they've gone 14 years without making it to the playoffs that John Gruden did say no. So that leaves us only with 2 vacancies left in the NFL, if my math is correct, right? You've got Las Vegas and Arizona.
Correct.
That is it. The other 8 spots are filled. Okay. Let me wrap with this before we bring in John Osher. Something else to consider. We talked about the offensive staff and its continuity, the defensive staff and its continuity outside the 2 new coaches they brought in. Also, Gladstone's front office is in place. Last year at this time, I'm trying to remember who they even had at the Senior Bowl. Liam Cohen was introduced on, I think it was the 24th. So he would have been there. Tony Baselli wasn't even formally announced until February 3rd. And James Gladstone was not introduced until February 22nd. So you had Trent Baalke's staff. You had Trent Baalke's analysis from his scouts, from his people. That is what Jacksonville used as their foundation for everything they did a year ago. Don't get me wrong. They still had time to address free agency, and they made some significant moves. I mean, look at all of them that they made. I think they made 10 moves on, the day of it, and then they made a few more later, some of which ended up being very fruitful, okay? And the draft. This year, that's different. There is no foundation from what formerly was. It's all of James Gladstone. And all of his analysis have gone through the Senior Bowl and are now this week with day 1 of practice yesterday, day 2 today, with the Senior Bowl. That, to me, is another very important part of this. As a matter of fact, I'm going to ask John Osher about that coming up here in just a couple of minutes. To have everything now under you, knowing exactly what it is. You know how transparency and communication is so important to James Gladstone. I think it's a very important part. All right, let's get ready for our second hour. 641-1010 if you want to get on in on the text line, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. You can also join us tonight on YouTube. Just go to 1010XL Into the Night.
If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
This is it. Yeah, this is it. This is what?
1010XL.
Been in a car crash? I'm local attorney Rick Alexander, and I've made it our mission at the Alexander Law Practice to listen to you so I can fight for the best possible result for you. I've been practicing over 30 years, and our team focuses on guiding you through the entire process. And because fees and reimbursement costs come out at the end of the case, I will never ask you to come out of pocket. For a free review, call 904-400-6600 or log on to alexanderlawpractice.com, Jacksonville.
Take a radio boat ride with Captain Cabin on the Ring Power Fishing Forecast Show. Wheeled in by the Pest Pros at Royal Pest Services and awaken 180 weight loss.
Thursday nights at 6
on 1010XL AM.
PRI Productions is the official game day production partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hi, I'm Randy Goodwin, president and owner of PRI Productions. Chances are, if you've been in Jacksonville over the last 30 years, you've seen our work, from corporate and social events to concert production and much more. We have the equipment and expertise to make your next event memorable. So call the experts the Jaguars call. PRI Productions, bringing your ideas to life.
The flagship station of the Jaguars, WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach, WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Sheridan Tootin, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, and Dr. Kevin Murphy put my right shoulder back together a few years ago, and I'm still feeling great. Now I'm using PRP treatment for my knee pain. No matter what you're dealing with, if you're enduring any orthopedic issue, my only recommendation is Southeast Orthopedic Specialist.
Call us at Southeast Orthopedic Specialist if you ever have a need.
Relieve pain and get back to life. SOS. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Frank Frangie here for Coil Fencing. Since 1927, Jacksonville has trusted Coil Fencing to protect what matters. And I trust them too. From tough chain link to your commercial project to install, service, and maintain those automatic gates that help protect your neighborhood or business. To schedule a complimentary consultation, visit CoilJacks.com. That's C-O-Y-L-E, Jacks.com. Coil Fencing, A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It may be winter in Northeast Florida, but it's one of the most important times to protect your lawn. Prosser here for Julington Creek Pest Control. Their winterizer strengthens roots and improves cold tolerance. Pre-emergent treatments stop spring weeds before they ever start. What that means is you set the stage for a thicker, greener lawn when spring arrives. Call today to schedule your winter lawn treatment with Julington Creek Pest Control. Our family serving yours since 1984.
Hacker here, and I'll admit something I don't love admitting. At some point, you just kind of get used to being overweight. Not happy about it, just used to it. Like, yeah, this is me now. That was my mindset. I tried stuff, took the meds, cut carbs, all of it. And when none of it really worked, I remember thinking, all right, I guess I'm just gonna have to live with this. And that sucks. I didn't like saying it out loud, but that's where I was. When I finally started Awaken 180 2 years ago, I wasn't fired up. I was skeptical. I just didn't want to feel stuck anymore. Then 4 weeks went by where we are right now in the new year, and I was down 35 pounds in a month. And that's when it hit me. I wasn't broken. I just needed the right plan for me. That's what Awaken 180 gave me. That's what they'll give to you. Look, there is no magic pill that lasts. There is no healthy diet giving the results I got. There is simply Awaken 180. And you can talk with them today. Go online, awaken180weightloss.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. It's time for Oh No's with Jaguars.com's John Osher. Oh no. Oh, really? Oh yeah.
All right, time for John Osher, senior writer, Jaguars.com. Every Wednesday at 7 o'clock, he does join Rick Ballou. Hello, John.
Rick, how are we, buddy?
Good. Are you going to the Senior Bowl? I know you go to the Combine. How about the Senior Bowl?
Not the Senior Bowl, and may not do the Combine this year. The Jags approach it a little differently as a franchise, just like the Rams did not go with Les Snead. That's where James Gladstone's from. So I'm not. I don't speak out of turn. I don't know what our coverage or what the team's plans will be with that. But not every team treats the Combine like every other team anymore.
That's right.
So we'll see.
Yeah, I had totally forgotten about that. I appreciate you bringing that to our attention. All right, hey, two quick things before we get to the Jags that have really taken the league by storm. Let's begin with taunting, and it really could have affected the game on Sunday. I remember one Jags game where they had 3 personal fouls, and that was more of getting involved in the ditch and pushing and shoving and stuff like that, and that is deserving. It's still subjective, but it's deserving. But what's your feeling on taunting when you can make the case? It's kind of like holding. It happens every single play.
Yeah, it's so tough because the NFL does everything it can to take judgment out of the equation on calls. I mean, that's everybody I've ever known on the competition committee has always said that's the goal. You want you want it to be fair. You don't want judgment. And really, taunting's a judgment call, just like holding and pass interference. It's why you can't reverse them, right? I mean, that's the whole philosophy. It's tough. You know it when you see it, and you know it's egregious when you see it. But different people have different views on it, and there is an argument, should that kind of thing affect the championship game? You'd love for it not to. So I guess I don't have a passionate thought on it. How do you define something when there's so many different levels of it to go on? You just hope that the officials can err on the side of reason, which isn't always possible when human beings are involved.
Yeah. The lack of consistency, no doubt, is an issue when it comes to that, because again, it's what you see, and you could have 10 different officials there, and 5 could say taunting, 5 could say absolutely not taunting. Let's wrap it up with the Belichick snub. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, he clearly should be in. And again, I don't know if it's as much of an individual snub as a collective system that's bad. I communicated with a voter that I know really well, and he's like, look, and I don't know if he voted for Belichick or not, but he said, right now, all of the non-players are sort of thrown into one group. It's just contributors, coaches, and older players. And you can only vote for 3 out of 5 candidates. And a lot of voters prefer to vote for players if they think they're going to be close, because players tend to disappear from the process if they don't get in the first year.
Mm-hmm.
Coaches and owners, and you shouldn't. It's a flawed process. It's an awful process. I'm just making the point that I don't think voters necessarily were saying we don't want to vote for Bill. Maybe some were, because again, it's a human being process. But this voter was making the point, hey, a lot of guys just want to make sure they vote for Ken Anderson, who was up.
Yep.
For these guys who they see as probably disappearing from the process if they don't get in now, whereas they know Bill will get in at some point. Look, it was always an imperfect process. This new voting system has made it even more imperfect, and I hope they change it. Now, I have no suggestions, but I'm a sports writer. I don't have to suggest. I can just complain.
Yeah, and complaining's fun when it comes to stuff like this. And you mentioned Ken Anderson, who, of course, worked here for a while, and, a guy like L.C. Greenwood, who I thought should have been in 25 years ago.
Roger Craig?
Yeah, this is going to become now not about them. It's about Belichick, who gets snubbed. It's more important about the guy who didn't get in, as opposed to those who are going to be recognized for getting in.
Yeah, again, it's a flawed system. I mean, nobody would tell you he shouldn't be in. And hopefully what this will do is it'll shed light and try to get some system that makes more sense. Right now, any voter you talk to, it's too constrictive. There's probably only going to be 3 modern era candidates most years, down from 5. Why in the world would you reduce numbers for an honor like that? It's hopefully they fix it.
John Osher, our guest, senior writer, Jaguars.com, joining Rick Ballou. All right, staff changes. They have been reported over a week ago, but, let's begin on offense, where all of a sudden you have plenty of consistency here now with the announcement that came in yesterday that both Udinski and Campanile return, and also Liam Cohen being able to go next door to Tampa and bring in Brian Picucci to help out with the rushing offense as the assistant offensive line coach. What do you make of what they've done now to this staff? Let's begin on the offensive side.
Yeah, I won't pretend to know a whole lot about the assistants below the coordinators. Haven't really had time to dig into that. Obviously, familiarity with Liam. It's hard in your first year as a head coach to bring in everybody you want because of contracts. It can take time to get the entire staff. Bringing Udinski back matters. I mean, he's not a play caller, but everybody you talk to, when you talk to people about the Jag staff inside the building, he's the guy that everybody sort of talks in hushed tones like this guy. My understanding is his ability to help Trevor prepare, his organization, his knowledge, his ability to say, hey, if this DB jumps this way on this play, here's what you're going to see on the other side of the field. Stuff like that, he's high end. And I get that sometimes in pressers he's really vague at times, doesn't give the best answers compared to maybe Liam or Campanile in press conference situations. That's how most fans absorb coordinators.
Right.
But inside the building, when he's communicating with other people and players, the guy's high end. They really wanted him back for at least one more year. There's not much thought that he'll be around much longer than this year because he's going to be a head coach then.
Yeah, it certainly does appear that way. And right now I can even look ahead and see of at least 4 jobs that I can envision opening. And history tells us it's probably going to be closer to 6. And heck, twice in the last 4 years, there's actually been 10 changes. This is probably better served for more and deeper into the offseason, but I'll just get a thumbnail from you on it now.
Sure.
But with everyone coming back, what do you think they do schematically? How much do they enhance this overall offense after what you witnessed this year, an offense that improved by 9 points per game?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you will have receivers and quarterback so much more in tune with each other. Mainly, you'll have quarterback in the first half of the season who everything will be more comfortable. Your second year speaking a language is better than your first. So everything will be more natural. You would assume that he would see more, meaning Trevor Lawrence would see more at the line of scrimmage, have more confidence in what he sees, have better chemistry with the other players. The other players know more. There'll be more situations they can go to the line, look at each other, and a head nod will be the call rather than the verbiage because they both know what they're seeing, meaning him or Parker, him or Jacoby. So I think that will be what you see the benefit. I can't really speak to how much they'll put in. They'll certainly keep adapting because Liam Cohen is very cutting edge. I don't know how to say how X's and O's wise that'll look, but familiarity. Liam's never worked with a quarterback in the NFL more than a year directly. He worked with Baker, then he left Tampa, and it was sort of over. It's going to be fascinating to see what he can do in the second year once the quarterback gets comfortable with what he wants.
No doubt. Absolutely. Matthew Arouge, couldn't help think immediately about Travis Hunter there. Just your thoughts. And with Anthony Campanile, that is just massive that he's back for a second season.
Well, I'll take the Cam first. Look, the players absolutely love playing for the guy. And that may not sound like much, but in the National Football League, for the professional players, if these guys believe in you, that's 95% of the battle. And they play for him. They believe in him, love playing for him. When that happens, you don't get any locker room guys saying, oh, what are we doing? Now, there's no lack of faith. And I don't want to say that was the case in the past, but maybe, right? So I think that with Cam coming back, beyond any of the play calling, when or when you don't call blitzes, these guys love playing for him. They play hard. The belief is everything with Campanile. He's going to be a great head coach when he goes to be the head coach. And again, I think don't get used to it, Jags fans, because I think he'll be gone too next year.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point. Again, that breeds success when
sure.
Yeah,
and look, let's also not lose sight of the fact that last year Liam Cohen made 2 great hires.
Oh yeah.
People are going to want to play for Liam. He is, the coach for Liam. He's on the cutting edge offensively. It's a good franchise. He will leave you alone unless you coach as a defensive coach. And offensive coaches want to be around the guy. I have no doubt he'll make good hires in the future, but they needed the continuity going into year 2.
Yep. It's a great point. John Osher, ladies and gentlemen, senior writer, Jaguars.com. Make sure you get everything from John and his staff. Just go to Jaguars.com. Thank you, John.
Rick, thanks.
All right, there you go. I've always looked at it in 2 ways. Outside of looking at a win-loss and outside of looking at, I always talk about being a good player and becoming an elite player, right? This Patriots team may be the exception to the rule. Do they have an elite player? Well, they got a quarterback who's probably going to win the MVP. It's a little bit premature, I think, to call him elite in his second year. Outside of that, who on that football team is spectacular? Christian Gonzalez. Okay, that is a very good shutdown corner. Seattle, do they have more star power? I don't know. Maybe this becomes the exception to the rule. I look at former Super Bowl champions, and they all seem to have at least 2 to 3 to 4 elite players on their team. So when you look at a successful organization They have two things. Coaches get promoted by another organization to be a offensive or defensive coordinator, or you lose offensive and defensive coordinators to become a head coach. Number two, you cannot afford to re-sign all of your drafted players. And again, that's new for you. It is. I think the last really big decision outside of maybe Juwan Taylor was probably Allen Robinson. Am I wrong? The other guys became turds, and they forced their way out of town. You know, when you look at Fournette and Jalen and Unique and guys like that, I mean, they became bad teammates. They became bad apples. It's been a long, long time. Now, they've redone a few guys, right? They redid Devon Hamilton, and they redid Miles Jack, and they redid Walker Little, and they redid Tyson Campbell and moved him. And they redid Trevor, and they redid Josh Hines-Allen, but that's still not a long list. Compare that to other organizations, and especially successful organizations. A lot of Belichick talk. Go back and look at the players that Belichick traded before their rookie contract came up because they knew they couldn't afford to re-sign them. The Rooneys did it as well in Pittsburgh. Leon Searcy came here. Well, they also sent over Carnell Lake, who didn't work. And plenty of, I remember the Andre Hastings of the world, all these players going to different addresses. And Pittsburgh just said, we can't afford to pay you. To me, that is, a really big part of this. Okay, when we come back, as promised, your input, and I'd like you to add this to it. With Campanile back, the chances of Devin Lloyd returning can only go up, okay? I still think he leaves, but I think percentage-wise, the chances of him returning has improved. I'd like to get your feedback on that as well.
The Frangie Show.
We stand for something. To those dead souls inching along the freeways in their metal coffins, we show them that the human spirit is still alive.
Afternoons. Why didn't we do this sooner? On 1010XL.
Frank Frangie here. This month marks a big milestone for Nimnicht Buick GMC. 85 years of serving Jacksonville. Since 1941, Nimnicht's been more than a dealership. It's been part of the community. 4 generations of families, thousands of vehicles sold, and a reputation built on doing things the right way. When you hear nobody but Nimnicht, that's 85 years of trust behind it. If you've bought a car from Nimnicht, serviced one, or participated in one of our causes, you're part of the legacy. Stop GMC. We are professional grade.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. If you've got fogged up windows, let me help. We'll replace them with clear, insulated units that brighten up your home. People say we're fast, friendly, and reliable. Just check out our Google reviews. Call me today. Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
This Date in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 28, 2001, the Baltimore Ravens defeat the New York Giants by a final score of 34-7 in the Super Bowl. Ray Lewis would be named the game's most valuable player.
At Hollis Pools, building a pool is personal. We sit down with you, listen to your vision, and bring your backyard dreams to life right here in Northeast Florida. Working with us doesn't feel like working with a contractor. It feels like working with family. Every Hollis Pools project supports Project Savior Outdoors, helping bring hope to our veterans. Visit HollisPools.com. Hollis Pools, your vision, your pool, your escape. License number CPC 1461233.
A new year is the perfect time to finally get organized. Hey, this is Lauren Brooks, and I love our closets from Closets by Design. They create custom storage systems designed around how you actually live. From closets and garages to home offices, entertainment centers, laundry rooms, and more. Beautiful, functional storage for any space, lifestyle, and budget. Start the new year strong with 40% off plus an extra 15% off, free installation, and 18-month special financing. Schedule your free in-home consultation. Call 904-878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Bueller.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, pal. Is that a turtleneck? Can't you feel it, Jason? There's a chill in the air. A definite nip. I mean, it is January. In Jacksonville, Jason. I didn't come here for cold. Well, I wouldn't call this. Cold weather gives me the sniffles. Sniffles turns to pneumonia. Suddenly, I'm in a hospital bed with a tube down my throat because Florida didn't get the memo about ignoring winter. So, switch over to heat. What if my system can't remember how to heat? Dude, put on these sunglasses. Whoa. Bueller Air and Plumbing can make sure your system is ready to switch from cooling to heat. We'll clean your heating coil to get rid of that burning dust smell and make sure you have the coolant pressure to keep your heat pump pumping out the heat.
With Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Blue here for the Blue Crab House, located right off of San Jose. It's on Julington Creek Road. They've been around since 1996. Indoor-outdoor dining. Also, takeout is available at the Blue Crab House. Open 4:30 to 9, Tuesday through Saturday. Sunday, noon until 9. Remember, Tuesday, $2 margaritas. Wednesday, $1 oyster night. How about the blue crabs? How about my personal favorite, the Canadian snow crabs? Whatever it is that you fancy, you get it right there. The Blue Crab House.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. When it's game time, Farah doesn't flinch.
Work it, make it, do it. Makes us all better, faster, stronger.
Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
My goodness, what a busy Wednesday. Thank you to John Osher for joining us on the hotline, which is brought to you by Key Buick GMC, home of the powertrain warranty. Some good stuff by Osher. The salary cap is expected to be somewhere in the neighborhood of a minimum $295.5 million. That is according to overthecap.com. I've seen some reports where it could go over $300 million. So, this present year, Jacksonville, $279.2 million. And they were up against it as far as dead cap money. I mean, you look at Trevor, $24 million will be his cap hit. He's not going anywhere. Hines Allen, $23.4 million. He's not going anywhere. Eric Armstead, $19.4 million. Want to believe he gone. And it becomes more affordable dead money-wise to make this a post-June 1st announcement. The fact that you've got nothing out of Mason Smith could affect that decision. Okay? You don't move Mason Smith. You see if he can make the team. It makes no sense at all to move him. He's very cost effective entering year 3 of a rookie contract. Okay? You just don't. It's like the Brian Thomas talk. Unless there's something going on about Brian Thomas that I'm not aware of, you don't trade Brian Thomas. Okay? Who was the guy on ESPN? Was it Brian Burnwell who said a first-round pick? And I was like, what?
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I was like, you're going to get a first? I mean, come on. Who's going to offer a first-round pick for Brian Thomas Jr.? You don't get rid of him because you don't get value. And again, he's cost-effective. He's year 3 of a rookie contract. Foye Oluokun, 16.9. I think that's got restructure written all over it. They got some young backers they like. And Ventrell Miller's getting ready for his, he's getting up there, year 3. And Jack Kaiser, because I think Devin Lloyd doesn't return. Trayvon Walker, 15.2. Get the feeling that'll be a different number. I think you'll see them put together the contract extension. Remember, when you put together that, you can give them an enormous signing bonus. So it actually saves you money in year 1, contractually speaking, against the cap. Macari, 14.9. Jeez, that might have been the worst signing of the free agency class. We'll see what happens there. I think he's got to go. Walker Little, if you can trade him, If not, I think he becomes a backup at $14.5 million. He's your swing tackle. Jordan Lewis, 12.8. He's back for at least one more year. Devon Hamilton had a very good season at 12.4. So those are your top 10 highest paid cap figures for this season. I don't want to get into any of that stuff, do I? I just don't feel like getting into it right now. 69-20. Rick, do you think they brought the offensive and defensive guys in under studies in case we lose the coordinators next year? Do you think they brought the offense and defensive guys in as yeah, it's a great question. It really is. I think the NFL is such a win-now league, and the proof of that is 10 coaching changes this past year, 9 firings, and Mike Tomlin walking away, that I don't think you can possibly look a year ahead, okay? You're thinking about winning this year, and I think the hires, again, look at what this organization did. It's remarkable, okay? If you take the 5 most important positions not on the field, they were all first-timers. They all came with a tremendous amount of speculation. They all came with some criticism. And the bottom line was, we just didn't know. Some guys I texted around the league, very respected guys. One of them went overboard to say, well, the position on Jacksonville is, do they know what they're doing? They brought in too many guys who have never been in that position before. They've never been decision makers. So look at the top 5 positions. Tony Baselli, first time, executive vice president. James Gladstone, first time, general manager. Liam Cohen, first time, head coach. Anthony Campanile, first time, defensive coordinator. Grant Udinsky, first time, offensive coordinator. 5. The 5 most important positions not on the field were first-timers. And they all worked. Not only did they all work, they all flourished. I mean, the 2 coordinators almost got snatched up. Baselli ain't going anywhere. That's for damn sure. This ain't a job to Tony. This is in his blood. And James Gladstone has absolutely captivated this city, in my opinion. And when he talked early on, remember just kind of shaking your head early on? It's like, well, what's he saying? What's going on? He's got some Phil Jackson in him. He's got a little bit of it seems to really be working. So, I think there's always that possibility, okay? If all of a sudden you look at their passing defense, if they really improve in a year and Anthony Campanile takes a head coaching job somewhere else, could they promote Matthew Arujo in year 2? Not sure. Be really interested in how things go here with Brian Picucci, because he's the assistant offensive line coach. He's still working with Sean Surratt, who, they got to get better on that offensive line. They had some individuals, some pretty good grades, but they gave up a lot of sacks. They lost consistency when it came to running the football, yet they averaged almost 28 points a game. And I think illegal starts, motion, false starts, I think that's going to improve in a year. I think that was a massive, growth and learning that they had to take immediately. And again, you're not losing anyone off that offensive line unless you decide to move on from them. They can't move on from you. You may elect to move on from them. And I think there's 3 viable candidates who could be gone. Walker Little in a trade, Patrick McCarty and Chuma Omega in Chuma Edoga, in a just a flat-out release move. Don't know that that's going to happen, but I would think chances are, if I was to go 0-3, 1-3, 2-3, I'd say I think one of those 3 is gone. 11:38. If the Jags move on from Etienne, I think they will be just fine with Tootin as the lead back. I tend to agree with you. They really like Quint Allen Jr. You know, the Jackson kid really looked good last year. Then again, everyone looks good in practice. If there's one thing that I have learned over the years of covering it, these are professional football players. It's not like being able to watch a practice at Florida State or Florida or Georgia or Miami where you can tell a clear-cut difference between, at least the way it used to be, veterans and freshmen. Okay? Everyone's really, really good. This is the 1% from college football who's trying to make NFL teams. Even guys who don't make rosters still look really good. But I think that's the way it will go. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if they add a back. You can find backs. You can find a running back on Saturday. And let's face it, you can. And you can find one off the street. I was looking at free agent running backs. There's a ton available. Veterans cost a little more because of the salary, landscape for those who are a little bit longer in the tooth. I don't know if they'll go in that direction. I think it's youth here at running back, and frankly, it makes a whole heck of a lot of sense. The one thing that ETN doesn't get enough credit for is how he really improved in his pass protect. Okay? He was a bottom feeder a year ago in pass protection. But what do we keep hearing about these rookies? What were the two things that they were talked about more than any? Bayshell Tootin with Quint Allen Jr., very, very good hands. Incredible hands. And the ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. And how successful they are in pass protect. I think this is one of a few examples where rookies pushed a veteran in that particular category. I'm not saying that they pushed ETN when it came to rushing the football, catching the football. I do think it had an effect on him when it came to pass protection because that was so highly documented in these two rookies. And it's also probably the premier reason that Tank Bigsby was traded. Tank Bigsby had feet for hands. And even though he's a big, physical, imposing back, he's not good in pass protect. He's basically a one-trick pony as a running back, straight line runner. And he had, he got off to a slow start in Philly and ended up putting up some pretty good numbers. I'll have to look it up, but I think that here during the break. But, I mean, these are well-rounded young backs. They can do a lot of different things for you. I still think they'll add one more. Good stuff there. All right, let's continue with your questions. 641-1010 on the text line, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. You can also join us tonight on YouTube at 1010XL.com. You realize there's dollar oysters going on right now at the Blue Collar Crab House? The GF's aware of it because she's there with her friends. And there's no place I'd rather be than right here with Aaron Williams on Bowden Road. But if I could be anywhere else, it would be right off of San Jose. Julington Creek Road, open until 9 o'clock every single Wednesday night. $1 steamed oysters at the Blue Crab House.
Get the goods on Gainesville 24/7. Search 1010XL Gators on YouTube.
Give a unique gift this Valentine's Day to that special person in your life with a custom-made candle or body care product from Wick, a candle bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
Ticket here for Action Garage Door. Nothing more frustrating than your garage door misfiring. When it does, I call Action Garage Door. They take action. Jeff and Art and crew, Jacksonville folks, not some big out-of-town chain. Something goes wrong with your garage door, take action. Check them out. Garage Door 911, GarageDoor911.com.
Living on Amelia Island, having fun in Fernandina Beach? No matter what brings you to the fun, cozy town, make sure you check out the tap room at Mokama Beer Company. With a full flight of craft creations, from the Cosmico IPA to the Motor, the perfect Pilsners and Lagers, matching memories and some Mokama magic is what it's all about. Mokama Beer Company, in Fernandina Beach, near the big water where the sun is born. And look for more Mocama craft at your local Total Wine or ABC Liquors.
The best value for golf in Jacksonville remains Cimarron, totally reestablished with new tee boxes, improved fairways and greens, also a brand new restaurant with indoor and outdoor settings, and live music. Join the Wild One loyalty program online at Cimarron Golf. When's the last time you played Cimarron? Cimarron Golf Club on 210, the Wild One.
Checkmate. I'm Brendan Cecilia, founder of Checkmate Coatings.
And I'm Chester, the adorable chess man on the tracks.
There are two things you should ask yourself about your garage floor. How clean is it now, and how clean would you like it to be? A typical bare concrete floor doesn't just collect dirt, it makes dirt.
It is literally made of dirt.
As much as you sweep and mop,
Concrete forever.
a Checkmate multi-layer floor resists drips and stains. It comes in your choice of dozens of colors and sweeps up sparkling clean in just seconds.
No need to wear shoes in the garage and track dirt back in the house.
Gorgeous?
Check. Durable?
Check. Tidy enough to walk on wearing clean white socks? Checkmate!
Transforming your floors, making them great. Checkmate.
Visit checkmatecoatings.com. That's checkmatecoatings.com.
Hi, I'm Michael from the War and Treaty. You know the jingle. Now discover the facts about Ozempic, a GLP-1. Only Novo Nordisk makes FDA-approved Ozempic. Learn about the real thing.
Talk to your healthcare professional today. Call 1-833-OZEMPIC or visit Ozempic.com to view the medication guide and to learn more about Ozempic. Semaglutide injection 0.5 milligram, 1 milligram, and 2 milligrams.
1010XL, presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Focus, fueled, fearless, Farah. Now, the Monahan's golden moment. Monahan Jewelers in Atlantic Beach, your local family jewelers.
All right, well, I think NFL fans, NFL personnel, NFL media still wanting to get some sort of a understanding as to why Bill Belichick was not voted into the Hall of Fame. The best we can give you is Bill Polian, who is a voter, spent 8 hours in that smoke-filled room recently, but last night couldn't remember whether or not he voted for Bill Belichick. So I think that's perfect, right, for Bill Polian. There you go. The Jaguars officially announced their staff today. Again, they have added Brian Bacucci on the offensive line as the assistant offensive line coach, Nathan Arujo as the defensive passing game coordinator. Both of those individuals were reported over a week ago, but the Jaguars did make it official today with their announcement. So some good news there. Haven't really had an opportunity to get into the Senior Bowl. All right, that's okay. I think you'll live through it. Maybe tomorrow, if not possibly a wrap-up Friday. But it's an important week, and it was a great point by John Osher. I totally forgot that, you know, the Les Snead in L.A. and James Gladstone, you know, takes that from him. I love promotion. Yeah, I love the ego involved. And I love the way that it's treated by aspects of life, professionally speaking, regardless of what the job is. When you're being told what to do and you work under someone, you may have the utmost respect and enjoy it and think they're outstanding in what they do. But your ego is you can do it better. And if you can't, then chances are you're never going to advance, right? Unless something else happens, you know, behind the scenes that we're unaware of. You've got to have an ego to be a GM. You've got to have an ego to be a head coach. And my guess is that James Gladstone has taken a lot of things that he learned in those 9 years from Les Snead, but there's some changes that he is going to make. I totally forgot about not going to the combine. I mean, that just sounds honestly, it sounds stupid. It really does. I mean, how do you not take advantage of going and watching and interview? Well, you can fly them in. You can still interview these players. I thought it was amazing last year prior to the draft just how quiet stuff was. Nothing leaked, which that part doesn't surprise me. I mean, the reason why things leaked prior to that was because of Trent Baalke. He was the leaker himself, for crying out loud. But nothing leaked, and that included who was coming in for interviews. They just kept things totally close to the vest. They didn't want to give out a signal to anyone else anywhere that this is what they were doing. I mean, on the surface, it seems bizarre to me that you would not go to the combine. But James Gladstone learned under Les Snead, who's been very successful. And James Gladstone has been very successful in his first year here. He believes that for a variety of reasons. I don't know if he'll ever tell us completely what those reasons are. Again, I find it odd. I find it very odd. But, that's the way they're doing it. In the world of overused analytics and how the combine is such a battle, there's so much stress between measurements and being a football player, right? I mean, everything today, Aaron, is 40 time. It's bench press. It's 3-cone drill. It's your line width. That's why he took Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson. There's so much of that compared to he's just a really good football player. We want him on this team.
Yeah, no, and I agree with that. I think I think people look at a lot of things other than, just looking at the guy and just seeing that he's a good football player. I mean, a lot of people are, have played football, been undersized, and excelled, in this league and stuff like that. Some more than others, but yeah, no, I agree with you. I think that people look at the wrong thing instead of just looking at, can they play the position? Can they fit in your scheme? Can they do the things that you want in order to win football games?
89-28 Blue, Devin Lloyd, 3 years, $50 million. Spot Track had it around $60 million. I like your math better. Is it enough to keep him here? Don't know. I think the open market is really going to pay him. ETN, 3 years, $25 million. I can come to terms with that a little bit easier. That's just over $8 million a year. I've said all along the most important guy to bring back was Devin Lloyd. That has now changed for me. The most important guy to bring back is Buster Brown. I don't think they can afford the price tag to Devin Lloyd. I'm moving a little bit on ETN because I believe he really wants to play here. And I never subscribed to the theory of hometown discounts. This is, in both instances, their second contract. This is, or could be, very easily, their final contract. Okay? When Miles Jack signed that second one, I remember seeing him walking into the stadium. He was walking out. I was walking in. He was walking out. We went back inside, had a few beers, started talking. No, we didn't do that. He just told me he needed to get another one. And I'm like, bro, the ink hasn't even died on the contract. Okay? It hasn't even sunk in. You're already talking about that third contract. So this is when they really get paid. But I'm starting to come to grips with the ETN. If this organization re-signs Travis Etienne, it's a very good thing. Again, I just don't value the position. And I think you can find younger, less expensive backs and put that money into other positions. 4704 Blue, how does the Belichick Hall of Fame snub affect Fred's status, if at all? I don't think it has any bearing on that. There's nothing personal against Fred Taylor. Okay, the Belichick one was a scorned lover approach. This was personal. Bill cheated. Bill was successful. All right. I mean, Sean Payton missed a year for Bountygate. Sean Payton's won a Super Bowl. He may win another in Denver. He's got to be penalized, right? Now, that's years and years away, but we'll see what ends up happening. Tom Brady got suspended 4 games for Deflategate. 4 games for taking a minuscule of air out of a football. We'll see if it has any effect on him. Again, I think this was a settle load scores. And I think there's 2 ways that you can blame it. To me, it's on Bill Polian. The other side of it is Bob Kraft. Did Robert Kraft say or do something, which if it is the case, it's awful because they were so successful to one another. I mean, they absolutely put that franchise on the map. I grew up there. I remember what that franchise was like. And really the only glory days was 86 when they squished the Fish in Miami and they won in Oakland. And then they got absolutely destroyed by the Chicago Bears. And then a decade later in 96, I remember all the misgivings there where Parcells had already come to terms under the table with the New York Jets job. Read Michael Hawley's book, Patriot Reign. Give you a totally new perspective on Bill Belichick and on Bill Parcells. One of the great books, sports related that I've ever read. It's been out for 20 years, more than 20 years, maybe 25 years. It actually goes back to the 96 season. But I think it was written, a few years after the fact. I want to say maybe even 5 years after the fact. But I don't think it has any bearing at all. I would say none on Fred Taylor. Fred Taylor's next up. There's no one ahead of Fred Taylor who is available to go to the Hall of Fame outside of Frank Gore, who has numbers that is not already in the Hall of Fame. Fred is next. Now, some others are going to be coming, right? Adrian Peterson is going to be up. Is there anyone else that we could think of that has recently retired as a running back who could go up against Fred Taylor? I don't believe so. I don't think so. Again, I'll look during the break and we'll bring in Hacker as well. And I think it's, next year, the year after. Tell you what hurts Fred is there's too many other good players available at other positions. Jimmy Smith, you look at all the wide receivers of the day. Jimmy's, part of a list of 6, 7, 8 other wide receivers, where Fred is not. Fred's the only one. Now he's with Frank Gore. That's it. So it should be easier for Fred to get in as far as time that he has to wait. All right, much more to do with you tonight until 8 o'clock right here on your home of the Jags, 92.5 FM.
Streaming live from the XL Digital Studios. Polished by Harbor Dental Care, the locally owned smile restoration experts.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too, from Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, roll and lock bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Frank Frazier here. This month marks a big milestone for Nimnick Chevrolet. 85 years of serving Jacksonville since 1941. Nimnick's been more than a dealership. It's part of the community. 4 generations of families, thousands of vehicles sold, and a reputation built on doing things the right way. When you hear nobody but Nimnick, that's 85 years of trust behind it. If you bought a car from Nimnick, serviced one, or participated in one of the causes, you're part of the legacy. So stop by and celebrate 85 years with Nimnick, corner of Park and Cassett. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
When your home or business deserves more than ordinary glass, you trust the experts. Capital Glass and Shower Doors has been elevating spaces for over 40 years with precision, craftsmanship, and clean, modern design. From sleek frameless shower enclosures to elegant glass railings, wine cabinets, and any custom glass that makes a statement, Capital Glass delivers unmatched quality, service, and attention to detail. Your vision, their expertise. Capital Glass and Shower Doors at capcoglass.com.
Game days aren't the only win happening in the 904. Best of Bold City named 904 Gutters with a Z the #1 seamless gutter company in Duval. Like the team's O-line protects their QB. Call the winning team at 904 Gutters with a Z to protect your home from the rain.
Happy New Year, sports fans. Hicken here, and let's keep the skincare talk going while we ring in the new year. We know it's winter, a little cold outside. That sun is still shining, so let's always be reminded to take care of our skin. Beaches Dermatology now has a new location open in Fernandina. So if you live just a little north of Duval, you can now see the pros at Beaches Dermatology without having to make the drive to Jax. Go online to beachesdermatology.com to book your skincare appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
At Hollis Pools, building a pool is personal. We sit down with you, listen to your vision, and bring your backyard dreams to life right here in Northeast Florida. Working with us doesn't feel like working with a contractor. It feels like working with family. Every Hollis Pools project supports Project Savior Outdoors, helping bring hope to our veterans. Visit hollispools.com. Hollis Pools, your vision, your pool, your escape. License number CPC 1461233.
When it comes to glass, you don't want average. You want flawless. Duval Glass and Mirror has transformed homes and businesses across Jacksonville for over 35 years. Frameless showers that wow. Mirrors cut exactly to your style. Fogged or broken glass replaced. Decorative tabletops. Windows replaced or repaired to stand up to Florida storms. All backed by a 100% guarantee. Visit DuvalGlass.com for your free quote. There's only one name for glass and mirror around these parts. It's Duval!
Start your new year off healthy and get screened at Ackerman Cancer Center with on-site imaging, including whole body MRI, PET and CT scans, and mammography. Early detection is key. Visit AckermanCancerCenter.com.
1010XL, presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Still present, ready. Farah doesn't flinch. Now, the 2-minute drill is driven by nobody but Nimnicht. Nimnicht Chevrolet on Cassett Avenue and Nimnicht Buick GMC on Phillips Highway.
All right, Hacker, we were just talking about Fred Taylor for a moment. We know Frank Gore's up this year. He's ahead of Fred. Adrian Peterson, when he comes available, he's ahead of Fred as far as rushing. The only other guy, and he'll come up next year, was Sean McCoy, 11,102 yards, averaged 5.4 per, but he also caught 518 balls for 3,898 yards and 16 touchdowns. He was a dual threat in his career.
He was a very good player. I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer. I'm going to have Jason Cole on tonight, who's one of the 50 people that votes on the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I'm going to talk to him about the whole Belichick situation. Jason's got some pretty passionate thoughts about that. And I'm going to ask him about Fred Taylor and what are the odds of Fred Taylor getting in. And just a little teaser, Rick, I don't think people here in Jacksonville are going to like his response.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't think it's going to be a popular sentiment, what he said about – not that he doesn't like Fred Taylor, but it's a numbers game. And it comes down to math at this point, and the math is not on Fred Taylor's side, at least for the foreseeable future.
To me, it feels like the Super Bowl has that much more influence. I mean, I heard him talking about Julian Edelman in the Hall of Fame. You look at Julian Edelman's numbers, there's no way he's a Hall of Famer. But he came up huge in the playoffs. Fred went there in 09 and 10. If they had won a Super Bowl in that era and Fred Taylor was part of that team, I wonder how much of a difference that would have made.
No, it's a great point. And I think, we talk about the small market and the lack of Pro Bowls and, lack of touchdowns, quite frankly. I mean, Fred's got some stuff working against him. But I say this, Frank Gore is going to get in as a career achievement award.
No doubt.
In Frank Gore's prime compared to Fred Taylor's prime, you'd be crazy not to take Fred Taylor, but because Frank Gore played forever, his numbers are massively inflated. The one thing that's interesting about the Super Bowl is word seeped out today that Eli Manning did not get in again. And to me, look, if you're a 2-time Super Bowl MVP, they've only had 59 of them to this point, right? If somebody's won 2 MVPs and 2 rings at the quarterback position, how Eli 2 years in a row doesn't get in is beyond me.
If you were to name the top 10 Hall of Famers in the history of the game, there's a good chance that a lot of people would mention Joe Namath.
Yeah.
He's one game over 500 in his career, and he threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns. He got in because he guaranteed a victory in the number one market in America. If they don't win that Super Bowl, he does not go into the Hall of Fame.
There's no doubt. Namath is a great example. Bradshaw was going to get in because he had 4.
Oh, yeah.
But much along those lines, Terry Bradshaw's career numbers, it always blows my mind when you look at him. 212 touchdowns, 210 interceptions.
Yep.
He was +2 in his entire career, but he has 4 rings.
Yeah.
And because of that, he obviously got in.
Well, look at all the Hall of Famers around him.
Yeah.
Franco Harris, Stallworth, Swan, the steel curtain defense, and it looks like L.C. Greenwood's going to get in. Also, Ken Anderson, it looks like he could get in. He had better numbers, far better numbers in Cincinnati than Terry Bradshaw had in Pittsburgh. All right, so you got Jason Cole. What else?
Yeah, Mark Long of the Associated Press as well, talking a little Jaguars, but we're going to have the Jason Cole conversation coming up here in about 20 minutes or so. We're going to ask about Belichick. Jason Cole will be flat out open and honest. He voted for Belichick to get in, and he basically started off the conversation by saying that, but then he went on a lot of different ways about some of his fellow colleagues that maybe did not vote for Belichick, and then we'll obviously ask that Fred Taylor question as well.
Have a great show.
Thanks, Rick.
That's going to do it for us right here on 92.5 FM. Remember, we're always on into the night on 92.5 FM, and no matter where you go, you can download the app and take it with you. Just go to 92.5 FM, the app. Thank you to John Osher tonight. Thank you to our producer, Aaron Williams. My name is Rick Ballou. I'll be back tomorrow. I don't check the text line or YouTube now that the show is over, but you can always fire me a question anytime on Twitter and or X. Just go to Ballou1010XL. That'll do it. Hackers up next. I'm with you tomorrow night at 6 right here on your home of the Jags.